Welcome to W.M.S.T podcast episode number 42. I am your host, Syed. Make sure you like and subscribe and share the video and audio links. Tonight we will be discussing WWE Crown Jewel, uh, uh, the Rusev storyline, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, NXT, HBO Max, and continuing our Spotlight series, we will be talking with Tyler tonight. So here is your cast for tonight. We've got Editor-in-Chief Ziggler. What up, Ziggler?
And your favorite weirdo, Ziggler. Yeah.
Hey, don't steal Cam's thunder. Here's everybody's favorite weirdo and mine, Cam. What up, Cam?
I finally don't have that cold anymore.
Yes, Tyler. Cam has recovered. And speaking of Tyler, the man we're gonna interview tonight, a man, if you looked hard enough at your local State Farm, you can probably find it's Tyler. What up, Tyler?
The number one Paramore stan.
I'm everyone's favorite weirdo. And Syed.
Yeah, I guess Cam's just...
Oh, hell no.
Cam's... I guess people are trying to take that title away from Cam for some reason.
I'm trying to come up with it. I want to come up with a new nickname, sadly.
Yeah,
and then
let
I
me
can
know.
steal that one.
You're a stable nerd, Cam.
Yeah, let me know if you got one. But let's start talking about Crown Jewel, which happened yesterday. Usually with these, as I like to call them, creepy Saudi shows, they're really filled with a lot of filler, and usually they're super horrible. But this year's Crown Jewel had some interesting moments, honestly. Moments that we will definitely need to discuss. As I remember, we definitely ignored the last Saudi show. The big news coming out of Crown Jewel, well, there was a couple of big news, but the biggest one, in my opinion, was Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, finally winning the Universal Championship. I mean, let's be honest here. He should have won at Hell in a Cell. I don't know how you botched something so special, but I'm glad they didn't make the Fiend lose to Seth Rollins. I mean, yeah, Seth Rollins has been a workhorse for the entire year, carrying the Raw brand, but when the iron is hot, you gotta strike, and the Fiend was the right choice here to win. Now, I totally get that the Fiend is supposedly a SmackDown character and drafted to SmackDown, but apparently they did address that issue on SmackDown tonight, and looks like Brock Lesnar has been traded, or maybe he's leaving for Raw, meaning the Fiend could bring the Universal Championship to SmackDown. And the other big news was obviously Lacey Evans and Natalya fighting in the first ever women's match in Saudi Arabia, which was pretty interesting to see. Like, nobody really had time to process that because they just announced it like a day before, I think. So I didn't get to see the match since I didn't see the whole event, but it's still pretty cool because women obviously don't get to do any kind of sports in Saudi, I believe. So a very interesting moment, in my opinion. But overall, I think this year's Crown Jewel was way better than the last Crown Jewel, if you guys remember, when Shawn Michaels wrestled his match coming out of retirement. That was pretty horrible.
I was incarcerated when that happened.
Yeah, I would say this show was a little bit better, but that's not a really high bar, but had some interesting moments. And so, Ziggler, what were your thoughts on Crown Jewel?
I detest the first match. I fucking hated it. Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez. I mean, I didn't expect much going into it. I know Shawn was expecting the world for some reason. I'm just like, it's WWE. they're gonna find some way to fuck it up. I know they are, and they did. I've seen Cain Velasquez go in AAA. He's pretty good, and he's not great, I don't think, because he just started probably. I don't know, but and Brock Lesnar, when he wants to, he can go. He can fucking go. He's a great wrestler when he wants to be, but this was just their version of like a MMA fight, and it was just weird and stupid and unneeded. And then they made Cain Velasquez tap out in 2 minutes. Like, good God. One of the greatest heavyweight fighters of all time, and you make him job out to Lesnar in 2 minutes. That is just shameful, man. And then the whole Fiend thing, and the whole, I mean, yeah, it's good that the Fiend won, but I wish they would have waited until WrestleMania, maybe like have him in the Rumble or some shit, and then challenge maybe Seth Rollins if he was still champion by then. But they did it too goddamn early, in my opinion. So I didn't watch the full event. I watched like the last 2 hours. That's all I really needed to see. It was just like always a glorified house show, but you know, the match itself, Rollins versus The Fiend, I hate that red lighting so much. It's hard to see. You can't see shit. And it just looks awful on streaming. So, yeah. I can't imagine what it looks like in person. Maybe it looks better in person. I don't know. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
Sounds good, brother. And Cam, what were your thoughts on Crown Jewel?
Well, for starters, I wasn't bothering with watching on this pay-per-view. I mean, I probably wouldn't have gotten into the halfway point, and then my power would have went out because of inclement weather. But other than that, the things worth to mention are as followed. Lesnar Cain Velasquez wasn't really was basically a 2-minute match, whereas their take on an MMA match in a wrestling environment. I mean, if I wanted MMA, I'd watch MMA. Velasquez can go. He's done matches in AAA. He can pull off a hurricanrana depending on how he's feeling on that day. But they decided to pull out a 3-minute match with Lesnar winning with the Kimura lock. Cesaro Mansoor is worth a mention. One of the better matches on this card. The real question is, if Mansoor is so good and has all the talent, why do they keep just pulling him out? Pulling him out of his little cave for these Saudi Arabia shows. Why isn't he on NXT weekly? Strowman
He
and
was
Tyson,
like a few months ago.
but not like featured regularly. Surely he'll be
Yeah.
featured regularly. I don't know if he was featured on the Breakout tournament. I wasn't paying attention to it, but he'll get there eventually. Anyway, Strowman and Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury's entrance, they blew the entire pyro budget on him. And I've heard mixed reception on Tyson Fury. Some thought he was good in the ring, some thought he wasn't. But he did well for what he did. He did well. He still needs work, but he did well. Fiend, Seth Rollins, I'm glad they pulled the trigger on Bray. But that Virtual Boy lighting has got to go. The wrestlers probably can't see what they're doing. I mean, I saw a clip earlier today where they were doing a table spot. Like Seth was trying to go up to the top rope to do that 5-star frog splash spot that he did to Lesnar at SummerSlam. Fiend climbs up to the top rope and pushes him through a set of tables. Like, how am I supposed to see that? How am I supposed to see or know that there are tables there? If this was regular lighting, I would see it. But it's Virtual Boy lighting, and I can't see a damn thing. Well, there was another spot in the match where Seth, I think, pushed Bray into like some electrical spot and did the whole explosion spot. Then Bray climbs up, climbs out, and then wins the match that way. Wins the match. Like, trust me, I'm trying to explain the spots and everything, but I didn't watch it. Either way, I'm glad that Bray has won. But the real question is, what do they do with the title? Tonight or last night by technicality on SmackDown, they had Lesnar's quote unquote quit SmackDown just so he can go hunting for Rey Mysterio. Does this mean that they just switched the title belts? So Bray has the Universal title match on
Most likely.
Universal title on SmackDown, and then the WWE title goes back to Raw. Like, they've done this before with the original brand split, but just haven't done it with the reboot yet.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of knew the Universal title would somehow come to SmackDown one day, but I guess this is the day. It's here now.
Hold on. I was thinking that they were going to swap Seth and swap Bray. Just have the two switch places, but just switching titles is fine, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So, quickly want to talk about Raw. One of the most watched videos on YouTube this week for WWE, and one of their most watched videos ever, apparently, is the Rusev and Lana and Bobby Lashley segment. Now, this
Why?
this storyline, I know it has a
Sway.
lot of like these Jerry Springer elements to it, like with the whole, I don't even know how you describe it. I just tuned in because I was like, wait a minute, uh, are they actually gonna do an actual divorce court? I was so confused.
If I
And
wanted to watch Divorce Court, I'd watch my mom's DVR.
you're right. And I was like, my goodness, like, I know they're trying to give the people who always say bring back the Attitude Era uh, things that they would see in the Attitude Era, but this ain't it, man. Like, you actually need a storyline that sticks rather than this, whatever this storyline is. Like, I don't get it. I guess in a way, they're trying to make you think like you can't trust Lana. Like, she's blaming Rusev for her cheating on Bobby Lashley. And maybe, I don't know, I just don't understand where the storyline is headed. Like, is there going to be a match between Bobby Lashley and Rusev?
It's
Is
gonna happen.
is this like an official face turn for Rusev, even though he was, I think, already a baby face? I don't know. Like, I think, see, the only thing is, if you want to do, because this is all Paul Heyman's doing, like, this is a Paul Heyman storyline. If he wants to do it, fine, let Paul do that. But like, you gotta communicate with your audience what the end goal is with this kind of storyline. Otherwise, it kind of just seems pointless and very convoluted.
Didn't they end the show with this?
This
They
was the
did.
main event.
Yeah.
What a main event.
Yeah, I can't compete with AEW's main event, man.
Or NXT's main event.
Yeah. Or SmackDown this week's main event. Can't compare with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, this was the only non-wrestling
Fuck
main
Adam
event.
Cole versus Daniel Bryan. This is what I want to see.
The
I
hell
want
with
to
the
see Divorce
SCU
Court
tag
over
match.
Daniel Bryan versus Adam Cole.
The hell with
Yeah, I
SCU
mean, I
and
know
Richard
Raw
Bryan.
has always been the show that's prioritized storylines over wrestling, but this was a bit too much.
But we don't want to see these kind of storylines. We want to see like actual blood feuds, like a Gargano Ciampa, Moxley Omega. We want to see these blood feuds. We want to see people go to war, not go to divorce courts.
Yeah.
You can have your gimmicks every once in a while, but what's the reason?
What's the reason? Yeah, true. I just wanted to quickly bring that up because of how weird that storyline is. All right. And another quick WWE related news. We had a lot of WWE news this week. Something that has been like just taking over social media for like the early part of the week was the Jordan Myles WWE T-shirts controversy. Now, I know this is a kind of a very sensitive subject, but I quickly want to bring it up because I know some of us have a lot of different thoughts on this story. For those who don't know, Jordan Myles was complaining about a terrible T-shirt because NXT was going on USA Network, so WWE quickly just put some logos on some black tees, and they sent it to WWE shop so people could purchase it. Now Jordan Myles, who in ROH was known as ACH, saw his shirt uh, be similar to, I guess, blackface in a way, because it has his name in white text and against a red background.
With a
That
curve.
Yeah, like with a curve, which kind of looked like a mouth, and on a black T-shirt, it obviously looked like blackface, and that caused a whole controversy about the racial tensions in WWE and how WWE treats their talent of color, and it was just weird seeing a employee speak out so publicly against them. And the thing is, if they wanted to, they couldn't even fire him because one, if they fired him, it would make them look even more racist in a way. Two, if they fired him, he would just go to the competition. He would either go to AEW or he would go to Japan or Impact. And WWE obviously doesn't
Back to
want.
ROH.
Yeah, like no, he wouldn't go back to ROH. He burned that bridge as well. Later
Oh
on,
yeah, the Jay Lethal
he
comments.
burned that bridge to the ground. Like he called out ROH and called Jay Lethal a racial slur, and it was like, bro, what are you doing? Like we
Are
support you,
you
but
out
you
of fucks to give, sir?
but you ain't gotta
What did
call
he
out.
say to Jay Lethal? I mean, I saw everything else, but I didn't see the Jay
I
Lethal
mean,
thing.
Cam can describe. I don't know if it's a
I think he said that
derogatory
he
term.
called him, quote, an Uncle Tom.
Yeah, like I guess it's a
What
derogatory
what does that
term
mean?
for. It's it like you're a nice person to people like white people. If you're black, you're nice to white people. That's an Uncle Tom, and he's calling out Jay Lethal because he thinks that he got to become an ROH champion because he kissed up to the white management at ROH per se. And he was like, "Oh, guys like Cedric and I never got to be champions in ROH, but this, I guess, Uncle Tom, hopefully that's not a derogatory term, got
And
to
hopefully
he
nobody gets offended at us by bringing up this topic.
yeah, Jordan Myles said this. He basically
Don't
called
shoot the
out
messengers, kids.
Jay Lethal, called out Jay Lethal, and it was like Jay Lethal had nothing to do with it, and he called him out, and I don't know, it just took a life of its own. Like it just went from a shitty shirt design to like this whole racial upheaval. Cam, what were your thoughts on this whole this whole controversy?
I don't know what to say, to be honest. For starters, the whole T-shirt. I mean, even if it is a racially insensitive design, let's just all agree that it looks like shit. For some, it doesn't look like the blackface smile, and in some cases, it just looks like a regular logo. I mean, it could have been any other logo. It could have been like an oval. It could have parodied the Run DMC logo. It could have been anything, and nobody would bat an eye. But now that he brought it, it looks like blackface. When for some you wouldn't think about it even if you mention until you mention it. But then he decides that he has nothing left to lose and just decides to go shooting. Look, I understand that this T-shirt is bad and you're very disappointed in the design, but don't burn your bridges with Ring of Honor. Don't burn your bridges with Jay. Don't bring Jay Lethal into this. look, I know wrestling has had its race, it always has had its racist moments and racist fans and racist people and yada 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 and the whole Hulk Hogan fiasco, of course. Even though Hogan is far away from this thing, but still, it's always had its racist moments. What else is new? WWE has been tone deaf in various cases, even if one of the biggest moments this year was crowning the first African world champion in Kofi Kingston.
Yeah. I mean, you could even say like they booked Kofi so well, and then they just made him lose in 3 seconds to Brock. I guess some people could even point that out to being like, oh, they're so racially insensitive, but I don't know. It's just uh, it's such a weird controversy, and like there's so many aspects to
It's
it.
a huge can of worms to try and open and dissect.
Yeah. And Ziggler, do you have any thoughts?
Not really. I mean, yeah, basically just what you guys said. I mean, I'm a fan of ACH. I have been a fan of him for quite a few years now, since Ring of Honor, PWG. He's always been a good wrestler, great wrestler, but I don't know, this whole racial thing, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure if he's trying to get attention or some shit, or I mean, I don't think of it as a big deal, really. I mean, it might have been just an honest mistake, you know. And why question it now? That shirt's been out for like a few months already. Like, why just now question it this week? I mean, it's a little weird for me. Like, if
Right. It's been out since like September or something.
yeah, like why all of a sudden just question it? I mean, and
Yeah.
from my understanding, this shirt has like no sales. Am I right? I believe I
Yeah.
saw that somewhere.
Yeah.
By
They
the
were like,
way,
oh,
these are the custom tees that you can change the colors for. So if you want, for instance, an Undisputed Era t-shirt, you can pick out the logo. They have like multiple logos for a certain wrestler. You can
yeah.
take that logo and change the colors of the shirt from black to white to red to
Yeah.
green.
Yeah. On a black background, it looks very like blackface esque, but I don't know. Like
Like
even
it's
ACH said it himself. Like the logo, they showed him the logo. He gave it an okay. So like, he was like, yeah, this is you can use this logo. But he was like, when they put it against a black background, that's when he had a problem apparently.
Well, it's not their fault. Most of their T-shirts are black.
Exactly.
95% of wrestling t-shirts are black.
Yeah,
They
I
always
mean,
look better that way.
I
yeah.
know. I don't know. We'll see where this goes. I mean, I don't know if he'll ever be back on TV. They might let him just sit out his whole contract. Who
I
knows?
mean,
They
but if they
they can
do
do that.
that, then
It
WWE,
could be
that
water under
yeah,
the bridge
if they do
eventually.
that, that's just like them firing him. You know, people
Yeah,
will
that's
be
pretty
like,
much like that.
"You guys are racist and shit," you know.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That will.
Cancel them.
So they gotta do something with him.
Yeah.
I mean, he did win the breakout tournament. He did have a match with Adam Cole for the NXT title. So,
Yeah, they gotta.
Well,
Yeah,
at least they did something with them.
but
I think they'll.
he hasn't been on NXT TV since then though.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I guess they're keeping him off TV till like this whole situation cools down, and then maybe they'll bring him back. But yeah, we'll see what happens
Like,
with
it's a
that.
shame this happened because he is talented.
Yeah. And speaking of NXT, there was some huge news regarding the War Games. So we're gonna have the first ever women's War Games match. Cam, what did you think about that announcement and the NXT episode from this week?
It's probably the biggest announcement of the entire episode. It it blew everything else out of the water, in my opinion. In my opinion, AEW had the tag belts, which we'll get to in a moment. But this was the biggest announcement. It will be probably will be a 5-on-5 match. Dakota Kai, Tegan Knox, Candice LeRae, and Captain Rhea Ripley versus Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, Jessamine Duke, Marina Shafir, and Captain Shayna Baszler. Team Rhea has to find a fifth member, which will probably be either Toni Storm or Mia Yim or someone. And it will probably be one of the bigger matches on the card. Meanwhile, for the men, War Games might be doing something with War Games on Spirit Era. Keith Lee.
They're probably not.
I mean, I'm thinking that because they ended this week's episode with Ciampa, Matt Riddle, and Keith Lee in the ring.
But 2 War Games, isn't that like a lot? And plus, if there's going to be no title matches then, unless the War Games is going to be every title's on the line.
It'll probably be winner take all. I don't know. I don't know yet, but it will be something. Oh, and speaking of NXT, this might as well be a segue into the next topic. You know what? I'll just wait on the next topic. I'll segue into it in a minute. I want to get everyone else's thoughts.
Yeah. Actually, wouldn't it be good if they did like Mia Yim versus Toni Storm and the winner gets the final spot in the match? Is the NXT women's title on the line, or is it just like a 5-on-5 tag team?
They haven't said anything about the title yet.
Yeah,
I guess the title's going to be held in a singles competition.
It wouldn't make sense for War Games to be in War Games because like 5-on-5, who gets the title? So.
Or it's like Rhea Ripley is the team captain, and the team captain can only pin the team captain.
Yeah, but
the title.
Yeah.
That
would be an idea, I guess.
I don't see a title being on the line. No.
But no.
Yeah. So Ziggler, what were your thoughts on NXT and the match being announced?
I mean, I've been hearing rumors that it was going to be a women's War Game match, and I don't know. I kind of wanted an Undisputed Era versus. This is what I wanted because I thought they were going to set this up with Imperium in NXT. I thought they were going to do Imperium versus the Undisputed Era in War Games. That's what I wanted. That would have been dope as hell. I would give WWE all my money for that match because that is a great match. But the women's War Game is fine. I don't know. It's just. I kind of just wanted Shayna Baszler versus Rhea Ripley and Rhea Ripley winning, but I guess War Games is nice. It's going to be weird with Dakota Kai and Tegan Knox because they just got back from injury, so hopefully they play it safe. I mean, and Io Shirai is going to fucking do a big-ass moonsault off the cage, so that's going to be fun. But
yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I mean, this should be good. I mean, yeah, most of their like big women's matches like that are good. It's probably going to main event because War Games always main event.
It's the longest match on the card, so it's always going to main event.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Cam called Rhea Ripley Captain Rhea Ripley, I was like, wait, when did they change her gimmick? I was like, wait, is she Captain Rhea Ripley now?
They didn't change her gimmick. She's not Kairi Sane now.
I know. I was like, wait a minute,
but
Captain.
Yeah, they're just the team captains for their respective.
Yeah. Then when you said Shayna team captain Shayna Baszler, I think is that the other team?
Yes.
Yeah. Then I was like, oh, okay. So it's the name of the captain. Okay.
Yeah. The teams. But yeah, I would like. A lot of people are saying Mia Yim, but now that you mentioned Toni Storm, I would like Toni Storm to be the 5th person on Team Ripley.
True. She needs to be on more.
I'm not so high on Mia Yim. I'm just not. I didn't like her match with Shayna Baszler. I didn't really like her matches with Bianca Belair. I don't know. It's just she's just not my
Toni Storm
cup of tea.
Way better. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Toni Storm is way miles better. So yeah, I would like to see her in it.
Yeah, and obviously we had AEW crown their first ever tag team champions. Surprisingly, it was the SCU. It was a really good match. Obviously, we expected it to be a good match. But the finish was it was a weird finish. Like it was a small package roll up. Kazarian rolled up one of the Lucha Brothers, and wait, was it Ray Phoenix or who was the one who
It
was
was
pinned?
Pentagon.
Oh, Pentagon, right. Pentagon was pinned and in a small package, and he was like complaining to the ref. So maybe he might have a case for a rematch for Full Gear. But yeah, I guess
Yeah, that'd be dope.
SCU are your first ever tag team champions. Although in my opinion, Lucha Brothers should have won. It's not too big of a complaint. Both teams are great. Uh, but yeah, really interesting match. Ziggler, what did you think about the match and the choice of winners?
Yeah, I kind of expected SCU to win because they're the veteran tag team, and it's good to like have like a veteran like win like the first titles, like a Chris Jericho over Hangman, and now SCU over the Lucha Brothers. And yeah, like you said, Pentagon was complaining to the ref, saying it was like a 2 count or whatever. Maybe we'll see replayed next week or something like that, saying, oh yeah, oh shit, it was a 2 count or something like that. And then we'll get like maybe like a 2 out of 3 falls at Full Gear, which would be dope as hell, or something like that. And but yeah, it was a good match nonetheless. It was like what 13 minutes. Yeah, it was
Yeah, it was like the
running.
last 13 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was good for what it was worth. That I believe Pentagon did like a power bomb to the table on Frankie Kazarian, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, which was
Yeah.
pretty dope. And I
Timekeeper's
mean,
table.
yeah, the Lucha Brothers are one of the best tag teams in the world right now. It's crazy how good they are. I mean, they're up there with the Young Bucks. It's so crazy how good they are, and I can't. They are going to win the titles, of course, soon. They're bound to. And I would love to see another match with Lucha Brothers and Private Party because their match was so goddamn good. Yes, it was
Yeah.
a spot fest and on fast forward, as Cam would say, but it was so goddamn good. I need to see another one. Just like I need to see another Young Bucks versus Private Party.
True. Like the
But
AEW's tag team division overall is one of the best in the world.
honestly, that tag team tournament was so great, though. I loved
Yeah.
almost every match in that tag team tournament, man. It was so good.
True. That was one of the best tournaments I've seen in recent memory. And Cam, your thoughts on the new tag champs in AEW?
I'm glad. I was thinking that it would have either been SCU or Lucha Brothers, whoever would have been I wouldn't have minded who would have won. I wouldn't mind the choice. Like I'm fine with whoever would have won. I mean, but the match was actually really good. Like their tag division is one of the strongest in the world right now. It's those are like these are the main strengths of both shows. NXT has better showcasing and storytelling. AEW has the better tag division. NXT has the better women's division. And I wouldn't say that AEW has a main event scene just yet. They're just starting it. The main event scene's in its infancy. But NXT has that over AEW, their main event scene.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, NXT's main event scene is so goddamn stacked. But you also gotta look at AEW's. Like, yeah, it is in its infancy, but it's so goddamn stacked too. They got Omega, Hangman, Pac, Moxley, Jericho. They have so many main event stars. So
Yeah.
yes, it's like really early to tell, but these are already like proven wrestlers that are just so goddamn good, just like NXT.
Mm-hmm. Correct. And finally, we had a SmackDown tonight. So going
Speaking
back
of
to Crown
NXT,
Jewel, yeah, going back to Crown Jewel a little bit. After Crown Jewel, a lot of the talent couldn't get on a charter plane to the U.S. to make it to Friday Night SmackDown. So Triple H happened to be back. He was actually in the States. He didn't leave the States, so he was overlooking SmackDown. And I honestly wish I could have seen it, but from what I've heard, it ended up being one of the best SmackDowns in recent memory under Triple H. NXT taking over SmackDown. Honestly, it's a great concept, and I know we got some really great moments from the show this week, and it was, from what I've heard, like I said, one of the best SmackDowns in recent memory. So, Cam, what were your thoughts on the show overall? And yeah, just the whole NXT talent being there and whatnot. How did it feel?
for context sake, let's begin with this. It was announced during Crown Jewel, during the promotion for Survivor Series, that for the first time that Raw, SmackDown, and NXT were going to be involved. I've been wanting this ever since they rebooted the brand split 3 years ago, for NXT to be more involved with the brands and shows. Now they're finally starting to do it with the USA deal. And even though the roster was paper thin and they were dealing with a delayed flight and were basically tasked with making up a show on the fly with half the roster not being on there, like the promoted stuff that was forward was Bray Wyatt on Miz TV and Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin. That was the stuff that was promoted. Instead, we got a whole NXT TakeOver episode. And it's probably the best show, and it's the best episode that they've done ever since the Fox deal. I mean, yes, I like the debut. The debut episode is nice and all, but it's their best episode since they came to Fox. Sure, the ratings might not reflect it, but it was really good for what it was. Unintentional dream matches, wrestlers getting showcased and put over as legit big names and big deals, and people that you should watch. I mean, that Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan match, it was an unintentional dream match that somehow we all got. And it was really good. I've been waning with the shows for the past few weeks, and I'm glad the Survivor Series season is here because now is when the shows begin to get interesting. They've been spinning their wheels since after SummerSlam. Now is the time that they get serious and start throwing bones at people. I'm glad the Survivor Series season has started. And I bet this show was mainly tacked together because it was mainly a let's get started with Survivor Series because we have no one else to do. No one else on the show. I mean, if they would have made it back to the States, they would probably wouldn't have started with the NXT stuff. So, in a way, Crown Jewel is a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, you wouldn't have believed that a few days ago, honestly. And Ziggler, your thoughts?
Oh, and one more thing.
Yeah, good.
2014, 2015 me would have been drooling all over this. I used to be a huge mark for NXT.
Yeah, man, imagine if they did this kind of show back then. That would have been even an even bigger deal.
Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed that video and make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And click on the channel to check out some more awesome videos like our movie and wrestling debates and our interviews with people like the Wrestling Classic and Jordan Jomo from the IGWC. And we are definitely looking into delivering you all some more content in the near future, so definitely be on the lookout for that. And thank you for your support.